Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my Legends Stage Pick'ems. We're doing this live on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Dolan the Greatest. If you want to follow me there, also make sure to subscribe to my newest video. Are you guys excited? Because I'm surely am. In the last Challengers Pick'em challenge, I got 5 out of 9, so make sure to check my latest video actually. So, without further ado, and without making the people on the stream wait, let's go for our Legends Pick'ems. So, I'm gonna start with my 0-3, and I think that there is no doubt that this would be Into the Breach. Now, I know that they got into the Majors Legends stage by beating a lot of well-known teams, right? And I know that everyone doubted them, and now nobody would doubt them because they played well, etc. But considering that this is the last major ever, considering that Navi should be on point, considering that we saw G2 in one of their best forms throughout Challenger, considering the individual class that will come out of teams, for example, like Vitality, like Ants, like even FaZe, for example, who struggled, I just think that individually, those players are just so far away from our top teams that it will be super difficult for them to even take a win. And I know that they might take a win against teams, for example, like maybe Liquid or maybe even Gamer Legion, who quite underperformed, you know, throughout the Challenger stage. But I just feel like overall Liquid have the better individuals if they face for example, Into the Breach, into a 0-2 matchup, right? And even same goes for Gamer Legion, right? We saw that Gamer Legion managed to come back from a 0-2 deficit, same way for Liquid, right? So I think that just overall individually, Into the Breach are not on the same level. And I'm not even gonna consider the team factor, right? So Into the Breach, kind of a easy one. Maybe another team that can go 0-3, I believe should be probably Bad News Eagles if they do not face FaZe, because I feel like whenever Bad News Eagles faces FaZe, then it's kind of over. And then another one that might go 0-3 is probably Liquid, considering their poor form. But I'll go with Into the Breach. Now, the team that I think would go 3-0 is 9. And now, look at this. 9 managed to qualify for the Legends stage by going 3-0. 9's way to the major itself was super difficult, right? And they had to deal with quite a lot of the tougher Tier 1 teams. You know, they managed to overcome themselves. I think Hades is on point. I think overall their entire team play is super clean, is super effective. And I think that when you have players like, for example, K or, for example, Goofy, who can always step up, then I think that 9, if they get the proper matchups, because if I'm not mistaken, I have to double check this one, but I think that in their first matchup, they are facing what was it, Bad News Eagles, or it was, I don't remember which was the first matchup, but it was not something along the likes of Heroic, you know, or FaZe or Navi, for example, right? And then I made some calculations. So if my overall predictions, so watch my Twitter for this one, go as I think they will, then they will face Apex and they will potentially play Ents, right? So those are two teams which they can definitely beat, and I think that in the long-term run, they are definitely the team that can surprise everyone and go 3-0. Because if I'm not mistaken, you can also put Vitality, but if you put Vitality, then I think that at some point, if Heroic and Vitality win their matches, they will face in the second round. So definitely not the strategy which you want to follow when doing your pick'ems, right? So anyway, this is the team that I think will go 3-0. I think that this Polish squad is currently probably the best Tier 2 team in Europe. Maybe you can even argue that this is one of the better mid-Tier 1 teams, but they just need to prove themselves. And I think that this is the stage on which you want to perform and on which you have to perform. So I believe in 9. I think that they're a really fun team to watch, so definitely putting them as a 3-0. Now, about the rest of the teams that I think will qualify. I think that a no-brainer for qualification has to be Heroic, right? And I think that you can even argue that Heroic deserves a 3-0. But I think that the overall chance of Heroic qualifying, even in a 3-1 or 3-2 fashion, compared to them getting 3-0 is just simply higher. So this is why I'm putting Heroic as a team that will definitely qualify. I'm more than sure that Heroic is the go-to pick for even a 3-0, but just to make it a little bit safer, I'm putting Heroic in here. I think that overall they are the best team in the world right now. I think that they have the cleanest plays. I think they have the best strategies. I think that as individuals, especially Shush can pop off. I think Tessus together with Stone are two really, really good players that can help Cadian lead. And overall, I think that Heroic is so effective in their gameplay that it's super difficult for teams to face them, right? And to even prepare for them. So in terms of strategy, in terms of strictness, in terms of clean gameplay, I think that Heroic is definitely the easiest team to pick from all of those that we have. Now, another one that I think we'll go through is definitely Na'Vi. I think that Navi's path towards qualifying for the next phase of the major is definitely one of the easiest if you have a look at it. As I mentioned, I did some calculations, and if Navi beat Gamer Legion, then I believe that in the next phases they will face probably Fnatic if they win, if I'm not mistaken, and then they'll play either Monte if Monte upset Fury or something like that, you know. So overall, they will not face neither Heroic or Vitality up until that 3-0 matchup, right? So I think that the path overall for Navi is just super clean, and considering those individuals as well that they have, I mean, they have Simple, right? Simple is one of the two best all-time players in CSGO, right? And to not have Simple making it out of the Legend stage will be just so ridiculous. So if you ask me, 100%, there's absolutely no universe, you cannot prove me, you cannot give me another scenario in which Simple does not make it to playoffs, at least, of the last ever CSGO major, right? I want to see Simple making it. And because I want to see Simple making it, I also want to see Vitality with ZywOo making it. I think that we need to have a Navi Vitality matchup somewhere in playoffs. Probably quarters, maybe even semis, right? But I think that out of Heroic, Navi, and Vitality, probably the highest chance of winning the major right now has Heroic. But because Vitality beat them in the last tournament, which was IEM Rio, I cannot say which one would be for sure the title contender, but or rather the champion, excuse me. But definitely we have 3 title contenders. This is the last ever CSGO major. It's in Paris. We have ZywOo and Apex. Considering Vitality's latest form, this is a no-brainer. Probably it's highly likely that they lose a game, either to, let's say, 9, or maybe if they face Heroic, right? So this is why you don't put Vitality as a 3-0. Also another contender for 3-0, but same for Heroic. I think that Vitality's chances of qualifying with 3-1 or 3-2 and maybe even 3-0, or rather without 3-0, are just simply higher than Vitality getting this 3-0, right? So this is why I'm putting them here. No brainer, they would qualify for sure. Mark my word. Now, on to the next team, and I think that this one is also not a surprise. I think G2. I think G2 are super solid. I think JKS is right now on top of his form. He had an insane challenger stage. If you look at the statistics, he was the second highest rated player during the challenger stage, only behind m0NESY. And I think m0NESY, as a young AWP player, is just insane, right? This kid has it all. This kid still doesn't have, you know, obviously he needs some more confidence and probably just to clear even further his gameplay to become one of the best all-time players. And right, he doesn't have experience, yes, but all he has is pure skill. He has the good communication in English. He has the idea of how to approach the game. He has the understanding from where his opponents are going to come from. And this is why I think that overall, when you look at the individuals in that G2 roster, like Hooksy is one of the most experienced in-game leaders that we have as of now, apart from obviously Phases Kerrigan and probably some other names that we can have on the list, right? But you have Hooksy, the in-game leader, like the guy. He is literally a machine for shot calling. You have JKS, who's normally a supportive type of player, right? Who's performing on top. He's on top of his game right now. You have Hunter, who's also doing great. And you have Nico and Monasi. You have the two biggest stars in the scene, apart from Zaiwu and Simple, of course. So definitely another no-brainer. G2 definitely making it. If I have to say with what score, I think that G2 would make it probably with a 3-2, depending on how their second and third matchup go. But definitely a 3-2 or 3-1 for G2. And this is where it becomes a little bit difficult, right? The last three teams that should qualify are not clear. And if you ask me, this is where statistics have to play, right? I like to base my analysis on statistics. And because of this, I'll put ENCE. I think that out of the rest of the teams, right now, ENCE is just the best. We saw that they 3-0'd the Challenger stage. I think that the last time they 3-0'd a Challenger stage, then they 3-1'd the Legend stage, which was probably back in Antwerp when I watched the Major. I'm not really sure. But anyway, the thing is that Zempias is super effective with the AWP. Madden is having a really good tournament. Diga also performing as well, right? All of ENCE's individuals are simply coming out on top. So I think that if their matchups go accordingly, they will face the easier opponents and they will be able to even get a 3-0. So if you ask me, the teams that have the highest chances of taking a 3-0 are ENCE and 9 because of the teams that they could potentially face. And out of the tier 1 teams, it should be obviously Vitality and probably Heroic as well. I would even consider Navi, but it really depends on the matchups, right? But you are definitely putting ENCE if you want a diamond coin in there, because I think that they will upset a lot of teams. As I mentioned, they are also considered really good, especially after the Challenger stage. If you had asked me whether ENCE were okay as a pick pre-Challenger stage, I would have said, well, you know, they are quite meh. You know, tier 1, but lower tier 1. Right now, I think that they are for sure considered to be a favorite for moving into the playoff stage. Okay, last two picks, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say that out of all these teams, I have absolutely no idea who to pick. Right, but because of experience, because of past history, because of the individuals on that team, because of their improvement from their last couple of tournaments until now, and because of the risk, because I like risks, I'm going to put FaZe Clan. And I think that with the last major in front of us, with the last Legend stage ever, it will be a total shame to not have FaZe moving towards the playoffs. I think that Rain is popping off, especially in his last couple of games. He has been, obviously, throughout any major that he has played, he has been so solid, and he proves it once again here in Paris. Yes, Kerrigan is not performing. I think his shot calling is, you know, a bit weak coming into Paris. I think Twist needs to step up a little bit more. I think Brokey had an absolutely awful Challenger stage, at least when we compare with his normal standards. But if Brokey steps up, if Twist starts to find those multi-frags, right? If Kerrigan improves just a little bit to support Rain, I think that FaZe will definitely make it. So this is why I'm putting them. Obviously, there's always the risk that they will fall to a 0-2 and have to make it from there. Or maybe they will get B&E in that 0-2 matchup, but then, you know, they will not qualify. But anyway, I like risk, so putting FaZe in here. And the last, ladies and gentlemen, the very last team in our pick'ems this year would be Fnatic. Yes, okay, call me biased, call me whatever, you know. I'm wearing orange, you know. I here have my Fnatic gear, even my mouse and my mouse pad are with Fnatic. So I think that Fnatic, out of the rest of the teams, is the one that is probably the riskiest to pick, I would say, because they nearly fell to Viperial, then they were on, they were quite close, excuse me, to not make it to the challenger stage in a clean way after falling to bait, but eventually they managed to overcome themselves. They won that series 3-0, easy peasy. And I think that out of the remaining teams, I'm just super biased about Fnatic. I think that they have individuals that can step up. I think that Fasher is a guy that needs to step up for his team. If he finds the entries, if he finds the multifrags, then I think that he'll be able to produce the insane upset against some of the better teams, like for example, let's say Furia, or maybe even if Fnatic faces Navi in a best of one, right? So I think that we put Fnatic, and this is super risky. This is literally the riskiest of all the teams to put in here. I would say that Fnatic's chances of making it are somewhere along the 20-80, and 20 is to make it, 80 is to not make it. But we are putting this, and I'll update my pick'ems. Those are my pick'ems, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for joining me for tonight's pick'em. It has been a pleasure. We did this live on my stream, so make sure to follow me. You can see it down below. It's Dolan the Greatest. Also make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video. So take care.